4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Tucson, Arizona, once again the site of the 2017 Desert Diamond Cup. This is day number 2 of the competition and game number 3 of this day number 2, featuring New York City FC against the Houston Dynamo. Hello, everybody. I'm Nate Bucati along with Matt Lawrence. Jillian Carroll will be on the sideline for us again this evening in what has been a very unseasonably cool day here in the South Arizona desert. There you see Wilmer Cabrera, the new headman for the Houston Dynamo. Just a little sliver of sunlight is peeking through, Matt, over on the mountains to the south of us right now, but it's mostly been cloudy, cool, and extremely windy here today in Tucson, Arizona. Earlier today, we had Sporting Kansas City playing to a 3-0 draw over the New York Red Bulls. Now in the third and final game, it's NYCFC and the Houston Dynamo, and there is Patrick Vieira, the head man for New York City FC. And boy, are there some big-name players on the team sheet for each of these two starting 11s here tonight. Speaking of big names, Patrick Vieira himself carries quite a presence, does he not?
Yes, he certainly does. And these two teams are a lot different to the sides they put out earlier in the tournament. Look, we're getting much closer to business now. We're only 2 weeks away from the opening day of the season. Both of these sides have put out nigh on starting 11s, or first starting 11s, I should say, starting 11s that will be participating in that opening day of the season. We saw Sporting KC just a couple of hours ago. They started with certainly with that starting 11 we would expect to see against DC United. You said the big name players, Nate, they're down there certainly for NYCFC. We see them in front for us, Perlo, of course, David Villa. I'm very interested in seeing number 80 there, James Sands, 16-year-old boy playing in the middle of the park, recently called up to the US under-17 side with his twin brother, but he's an exceptional talent. We've been told up here in the commentary booth that David Villa and Andrea Perlo both speak very highly of him, and if you can catch those guys' attention, you're definitely doing something right, Nate.
Maxi Morales also being brought in as another designated player for NYCFC. As we take a look at the Houston Dynamo, look at a very different position. This was a team that finished at the very bottom of the Western Conference last year, and they have remade almost their entire starting 11 from a year ago.
They certainly have. It's completely unrecognizable to last season. They've put in some wonderful players. Delegazza, obviously exceptionally talented at right back. Machado, the Panamanian centre-half playing number 3, I've heard is an absolute beast of a defender. Really looking forward to seeing him up against David Villa. That whole starting line has got a real Latin flavour to it. Honduran international, Mexican international, in fact 2 Honduran internationals. It should be a very, very good game in the offing here this evening, Nate.
Keep an eye on number 17 for the Houston Dynamo, Albert Elise, who scored a goal in the 2-0 victory for the Dynamo over the Revolution in Game 1 of this competition. He absolutely lit it up at the Rio Olympics in 2016, and at 21 years old, brought in to possibly make a big difference on the wing for the Houston Dynamo. The Dynamo will be dressed in the bright orange, their primary kits. NYCFC in the navy blue with the yellow numbers, and we'll make that the orange numbers. We'll check in with a very frigid Jillian Carroll on the sidelines. Are you staying warm down there, Jillian?
Thanks, Nate. The wind has definitely picked up, but so has the atmosphere. So it is very lively down here on both sides. Both benches have lots of voices coming off of them already. Tons of fans. It's great to see here at a preseason match.
Biggest round of applause when the starting lineups were announced. Solidly in favor of Andrea Pirlo.
Oh, they certainly were. Pirlo and David Villa got huge rounds of applause. It is great to say, as Julian said, great to see all these fans here on what is a very, very cold evening here in Tucson. To be perfectly honest, I'm right at home. Grey skies, a little bit of rain and lots of wind.
Feels a lot more like jolly old England than it does Tucson, Arizona, as we are underway at the Desert Diamond Cup. NYCFC going from left to right, which means they will be going right into the teeth of a very, very strong and steady wind here It's only been on the match days you and I have talked about, Matt. On Wednesday was a very windy day in the same situation, and then last couple of days of training there was no wind to be spoken of whatsoever, but then here again today, all 3 games have featured a very strong wind going from right to left as we look at the field here.
Yeah, it certainly is. The wind can wreak havoc with the flight of the football. What we have got here this evening is 2 very technically gifted football sides. They will try and keep the ball on the floor as much as possible. Interesting to see that James Sands, sitting in the middle of midfield for NYCFC, has already got on the ball twice. This is now his 3rd touch on the football. He looks very, very accomplished already, not overawed by this relatively big circumstance for a 16-year-old guy. Looks totally at home there in the middle of midfield.
And that number 6 role is one that carries quite a bit of responsibility.
It certainly does. You're the fulcrum for the team. You're the one who needs to get on the ball at every opportunity. You're the one that makes the game.
Here's Torres after a giveaway by NYCFC, and just like that, it is 1-0 in favor of the Houston Dynamo. Ramel Kyoto calmly finishes and puts it inside the left-hand post of Sean Johnson, and the Houston Dynamo, on just 90 seconds, have drawn first blood.
And he finished that with a plum. He really did Ramel Kyoto. Didn't need asking twice. The ball rolled across his body. Finished it with ease with the inside of his right foot. Just passed it into the back of the net.
Well, it started with the poor giveaway from Maxime Chenot, and as we see the good finish here, it has come with a little bit of bad news, though, possibly for the Dynamo. We've talked about Albert Elise, the designated player signing from Honduras for the Houston Dynamo. After a heavy touch, Chenot went into a sliding challenge to try to win the ball back, and he collided with the leg of Elise, who is still on the ground and receiving some training. Looks like he's going to be helped up to his feet. As nice as the goal is, if you're the Houston Dynamo, you certainly wouldn't want that to come at the expense of your latest DP signing.
That's very true, Nate. It looks as though he should be able to run this one off, but no chances are going to get taken at this stage of pre-season. As I mentioned, we're only 2 weeks away from the opening day of the season. Looked like nothing more than a contact injury. Didn't seem to fall awkwardly or anything like that, so I'm sure we should be fine. But it's a wonderful opening for this game for Houston Dynamo. It's a great finish as well.
There's a giveaway by the youngster Sands, and here come the Dynamo once again, and there's that pace of Elise. He earns the corner. Well, this is certainly a much more dynamic Dynamo team just in a couple of minutes than the one that we saw a year ago in 2016.
Yeah, it certainly is. They look very, very strong. I know we're only 3.5 minutes into this game, but already the pace and power of that front 3, they combined for the goal very, very well. Torres completely unselfish, and Kyoto a great finish.
It's flicked back in, had a little bit of English on the bounce. Dylan Remick put that back in. And we go back into the challenge that took Elise to the ground and then led to the goal. Here comes NYCFC down the right-hand side now. It's Sands in the middle now. Pirlo. What a ball. And the second ball not up to standards as RJ Allen, boy, was he played through nicely by Pirlo.
Yeah, wonderful vision from Pirlo. Nobody needs to be surprised about that. RJ Allen got right in behind Dylan Remick. Dylan Remick had just switched off a little bit, allowed RJ Allen just to progress in behind him. I think the right back for NYCFC wasn't used to getting himself in those positions. Picked out well by Pirlo, but nothing came of it.
Harrison trying to play it through to Morales.
It is something that affected NYCFC all of last season, conceding far too many goals. Fantastic going forward, just as we see RJ Allen get into that position. I think he's got to take that first touch out in front of him onto his right foot and have a strike on goal. Didn't do that, tried to pick out a teammate, just ended up giving it away. I think something that Patrick Vieira has to really stop this season is conceding so many goals. Great going forward, but you need to be solid at the back to progress very far in this MLS season.
Harrison, Morales. It's out for an NYCFC throw-in.
Problem NYCFC have certainly got this evening is they've got a relatively rigid back four. They've got a young lad, 16-year-old James Sands, sitting in front of them. And apart from that, there's very little defensive knowledge really there on the pitch. Perlo, as we know, likes to go forward. Maxi Morales, we're already seeing in that number 10 role, pushing very, very high up the field. McNamara and Jack Harrison haven't really got a defensive bone in their body, so it just leaves the back four very, very exposed.
Here comes Kyoto. He's the goal scorer already. Now Ricardo Clark. Pass was a little behind him. He was trying to usher it on to Elise, but was in a difficult spot. And as far as the goal for the Houston Dynamo, it was set up on the assist by Eric Kubo Torres. Now, Kubo was brought in and expected to provide a lot of scoring punch for the Dynamo a couple of years ago, and it just hasn't worked out that way. He has yet to score a goal in a regular season match for the Dynamo, but he's hoping that this preseason is a precursor of things to come. 5 goals in just 4 appearances in the preseason so far for Torres, and now he's got an assist to go along with it. They are hoping that, look, no matter what the competition is, you know, as a striker, Matt, it's about putting the ball in the back of the net and building confidence.
It certainly is, and this pre-season could be a springboard to a very, very valuable season for Torres and Houston Dynamo. As you say, it doesn't matter to a centre forward where they score goals, whether it be in training, whether it be in pre-season friendlies, or in the real thing. They just want to hit the back of the net, and he's certainly done that a number of times this pre-season. And he also showed there a real unselfish streak. He put in a wonderful assist for Kyoto, already proven that front line, that front three is very, very dangerous.
We just saw Sands with a misplay that carried the ball out, but he helps break up play once again. And you're going to see some growing pains out of the youngster when he's out here.
You certainly are. He's 16 years old, incredibly inexperienced, obviously, at such a tender age. But he's going to be gaining valuable experience, not only tonight in this game, but also in training. When you're training, you're 16 years old and you're training with the world greats of David Villa and Andrea Pirlo. It must be absolutely amazing for the lad. Can only gain an experience, can only help his career.
Flag was up against Kubo Torres. And there you see James Sands. What must go through your mind when you're 16 years old and you're out on the field and you see Andrea Pirlo? I know you and I both, as grown men, were a little giddy having a brief conversation with him yesterday. I'm sorry, a couple of days ago on Wednesday.
Yeah, they've just got a presence around them. You know, footballing greats or a great in whatever field you're in, they have a real aura around them. So yeah, for James Sands, I read an interview with him earlier on today, and him just mentioning that his parents obviously had to be called up to ask if he could join training, and then his father texted him to say that NYCFC have asked him to join this pre-season trip in Arizona, and yeah, he couldn't believe it, but he's certainly taking the bull by the horns, and he loves getting on the ball, as we've already seen this evening. He's not always going to keep the ball, but you know, he's just not afraid. He keeps trying to get on that ball and trying to make the game.
Well, I'm sure it didn't take him too much convincing to have to miss out on a little bit of classroom work, right? It's not quite spring break yet if you're in high school.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Toe taken down from behind, and foul is called against R.J. Allen, who disagrees with the whistle.
You have to be careful when you're tackling from behind. Certainly nowadays you can't go through the back of a player. There's a number of challenges going on out there as we see another one. This time from Cabezas.
Juan David Cabezas out of Colombia.
Oof, that's poor. That's a poor challenge. Nowhere near the ball. No good getting up from that challenge and wagging your fingers claiming that that wasn't a foul.
David Villa wants to know why we didn't see at least a yellow card in that situation on the 25-year-old Colombian. Maxi Morales was the recipient of 2 of those hard fouls in short order.
Yeah, he certainly was. And we've already seen in this opening 10 minutes, Maxi Morales is trying to get into those little holes just in between the midfield and the back 4 of Houston Dynamo. Just playing off the back of Alex there. It's tough. Alex has got to get his head on the swivel just to keep locating Maxi Morales.
You can hear the crowd reaction every time the ball comes to the foot of Pirlo. Now here comes Harrison driving at the Dynamo defense. Plays it out wide to Allen. Well, that cross was headed, I'm telling you, for the kids' fun zone behind the goal, but because of a good 30-mile-per-hour wind, it actually was kept in play. But yeah, really it has to be said that that cross was gotten all wrong by Allen.
Yeah, that was a good baton. Really was. That ball was heading for the, as you say, heading for the kids' zone. The wind just kept that one in play. It's a couple of times now RJ Allen has progressed into the final third, not really delivered anything. No end product as of yet from RJ Allen, but he's got a great engine, loves getting up and down this right-hand side of the pitch.
Here's the first touch for David Villa. Not much time on the ball this time as Machado takes it away. Here comes Villa once again. Little 1-2 for Villa at the top of the D, trying to slide it through on the left-hand side for McNamara. Just a little too heavy on the touch. Tyler Derrick comes out, feels that he's been clipped by McNamara.
I think Tommy McNamara maybe just left his foot in a little bit there on Tyler Derrick, but it's a lovely little interchange of play between David Villa and Maxi Morales.
You see some 7 orange shirts flying towards David Villa when he has the ball at his foot, yet he still finds the space to slide that ball through.
Yeah, he just overhit it by about a yard. He'll be a little upset by that. But we're already seeing great interchanges of play between Morales, between Jack Harrison and David Villa. Attack heavy, I always feel, NYCFC defensive light.
Let's check in on the sideline with Jillian Carroll.
Thanks, guys. As the tension's rising in the crowd and the field with multiple calls, fouls right and left, each bench is really stone-faced, so they're very concentrated. Each penetrated pass from NYCFC, everything, faces are very pensive, emotion is pretty stable. Now, the crowd is another story completely.
Patrick Vieira probably fits the bill of a stoic. Wilmer Cabrera, the new head coach for the Houston Dynamo, is going to be a very interesting story to watch. This is a man that's been all over the place in U.S. soccer in his career. The through ball by Ricardo Clark is intercepted here, but Wilmer Cabrera was the head coach of Rio Grande Valley last year in USL, which is a hybrid affiliate for the Houston Dynamo, and is really trying to now build that Dynamo program, much in the likes of one of his mentors, Oscar Pareja, who has done such a phenomenal job at FC Dallas in building up one of the top teams in MLS through their academy system. And we see a misplay here that's going to lead to a Houston Dynamo corner. But it's going to be very interesting to see the way Wilmer Cabrera puts his fingerprints on this entire organization from the Houston Dynamo from top to bottom, because you get the sense that's the way they want to build this thing in Houston going forward.
No, I think so. I think he's already stamped his mark on this team. There's been some wonderful acquisitions in the off-season as you see Houston's corner being taken.
Cleared away by Maxime Chanot. Morales playing it forward to the streaking Harrison. He's got David Villa, who is onside, says the referee. Villa! Pure class. Absolute class from David Villa, and it's 1-1.
That's what you call a counter-attack. 1 minute Houston have got a corner up the other end. The next minute the ball's in their back of their net. It's a glorious finish from David Villa. Never any doubt in the minds of the players or the crowd or the commentators alike. He's always going to hit the back of the net. Wonderful finish, perfectly placed across the face of Tyler Derrick in that Houston goal. Good assist from Jack Harrison as well. Totally unselfish, glorious finish.
Now, I will be interested to see if there is a VAR on this. No, play has been signaled on. It appeared to me that Villa might have been at least close to being in an offside position. Adolfo Machado had been playing him on. I had wondered if Harrison might have taken one touch too many before playing Villa through. We have the capability of video-assisted replay here, and it was not used, so that must tell us that the VAR decided that the call was correct, or at least they didn't have the right angle to disprove that Villa was in fact onside.
Or they didn't want to annoy the crowd, because they were absolutely on their feet with that finish from David Villa. But yeah, we can only assume that the video officials had a quick look at that one, because you're right, he was very close. He may well have strayed just offside, but take nothing away from that finish.
I couldn't tell from any of the replay angles that we had on that play to say one way or another. Watching it live, it did appear very close to me. Like I said, Harrison looked like he might have taken one touch too many before playing it through to Villa there, but it turned out to be okay.
It was perfect. It really was from Jack Harrison, but I do tend to agree with you. I thought he did take one touch too many. We haven't got a decent camera angle. We've not seen one looking across the line. We can only assume that either the video official has the same camera angles that we do, so they haven't been able to see it, or their camera angles that they've got were better than ours and showed that they were onside.
It's a through ball that's intended for Alex. He was shouldered off the line. Let's check in with Jillian. What did you see from the sideline, Jillian?
Now, guys, I will tell you I'm about 40 yards away. However, the overlapping run seemed timed perfectly. The pass came right in stride. He really did seem to me from here to be just about even, maybe even a half step behind the ball. So I'm going to go ahead and say he was on. But again, I'm about 40 yards away. So that's my view.
Good perspective, Jillian, and of course, as we said, the replay assistant is charged with watching every single one of these types of plays and reviewing it. That does not constitute a challenge, and play was decided to continue. So we can only assume that they adjudged that this was the correct call. Again, this is a trial situation down here. We've seen it employed a couple of times already in the Desert Diamond Cup in the Sporting Kansas City game against the Colorado Rapids on Wednesday. The Rapids were awarded a penalty after a couple of minutes of playing time had elapsed because of a handball that had not been seen by the officials on the field on a set piece, and the Rapids converted that penalty and got a 1-1 draw. We saw a couple of replays employed in the Red Bulls versus NYCFC game on Wednesday as well, so they're testing out that technology here. This is practice for the referees. It is practice for the players and the coaches as well. And it's a learning process right now, and this is the time to do it. Here's another takeaway by the Dynamo in a dangerous area as Ricardo Clark came steaming through, and he earns the corner.
Yeah, once again, unfortunately for James Sands, he gave the ball away in the middle of the park. Couldn't quite capitalise on that mistake from James Sands, Houston Dynamo, but nevertheless they've won themselves the third corner of the match. I agree with you though, Nate. It is everybody, isn't it? Head coaches alike learning all about this video replay system.
And most importantly, the referees themselves. This is new to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one of those giveaways by the youngster James Sands. We talked about it. The speed of the game is ramped up a few notches when you get to this level.
It certainly is, but luckily for James Sands, Ricardo Clark couldn't quite evade the NYCFC defender with that strike on target.
You talk about how James Sands is only 16 years old. He was only 3 years old when Ricardo Clark started playing in MLS.
And he wasn't born when Andrea Pirlo started playing.
That's right. Morales gets it over nicely to R.J. Allen. And does well to keep it alive over to Harrison. In the air by Bouillon. Challenge won by R.J. Allen. Jay De La Garza, the veteran, coming all the way back to win the header. Morales once again. Kubo Torres just met Sands with the challenge, but Torres seems to be the one who's come away worse for the wear on that one. It could have been a foul on Kubo Torres. Here's Pirlo. David Villa dispossessed by Elise. Forward to Torres, couldn't quite bring it down. Immediately stepped on the halfway line. Machado. Pirlo. Flipping it forward for Morales. Leonardo is able to usher it out for a goal kick. That's quite a size differential there. Leonardo at 6'2" and a stout 6'2". I'm not sure what Morales would be listed at, but
yeah, there's a big size and weight differential there, that's for sure. Just feel as well, looking at the NYCFC team, Andrea Pirlo has just dropped a little deeper, he's just trying to get more into the game. Maybe take some of the pressure off of James Sands. Pirlo's definitely been trying to get on the ball more in these last few minutes.
Villa fighting for it on the halfway line, earns the foul once again. Taken quickly, looking for Harrison. Harrison working onto that left foot. Tyler Derrick makes the diving save and holds it fairly comfortably in the end.
Magnificently taken. Quick free kick from Villa. Hit diagonally towards Harrison. It's all about his first touch here, Jack Harrison. Magnificent. Cuts inside onto his left foot, goes for that far corner, just not quite enough power on it to take it past Tyler Derrick. Jack Harrison himself not massively experienced, but it had a real effect on the NYCFC team the last sort of 20-30 MLS games.
Well, AJ De La Garza is down on the ground holding his head. That's why the referee has stopped play here, because of a potential head injury, but I don't believe he awarded a foul on the play.
No, I don't think he did either.
Which is interesting.
Just sensible referee, and I didn't spot it myself, but De La Garza's obviously holding that head. Any head injury, especially nowadays with all the worry with concussions, perfectly legitimate of the referee to stop the play.
Is there anything here? They just bang heads.
Yeah, it's just a clash of heads there. McNamara and De La Garza, nothing in it, nothing malicious whatsoever. Still correct to the referee to stop the play.
AJ De La Garza was acquired in a trade with the LA Galaxy in January. The Dynamo basically traded down a draft in the draft order in the 2017 MLS Super Draft and acquired some allocation money in the process, used that allocation money to turn around and make the acquisition of De La Garza, a 29-year-old, a veteran, spent the last 8 years with the LA Galaxy, so they're bringing a real veteran presence into that right back position for Wilmer Cabrera.
I think that's a really astute signing. De La Garza's very, very solid there at right back, as you mentioned. Nate, very experienced in the MLS as well. Can only help shore up that back line for Houston Dynamo. And it's good work behind the scenes from Houston Dynamo as well, freeing up that cash to bring him in.
And at least to hear the Dynamo tell it, they still got the man that they wanted, even with the 4th pick. Had they stayed in that position. Here come the Dynamo steaming forward once again, but the play was broken up nicely as R.J. Allen stepped inside.
Yeah, we were told, weren't we, just a little while ago before the game, that was all to do with Joseph Holland, the draft pick. Used to thought they probably could have taken him at 4, but they thought they'd still be able to get him at 10, which they did. That managed to free up some allocation money as well.
Referee tried to play advantage, but in the end calls a foul in the middle of the field here in the 26th minute.
Tell you what we are seeing this evening as well, this game's a lot more physical than the Sporting KC Red Bulls game of earlier. A lot more tackles flying in, specifically in the middle third of the pitch.
There's been some excitement in this match as well. We've already had a couple of goals, a number of opportunities. Harrison trying to get on the end of this when he goes and takes a tumble inside the penalty area, but it is Harrison who was called for the foul.
I think we can class that as experienced defending from Dylan Remick. He just puts his body in between the ball and Jack Harrison. I think he knows that Jack Harrison's got him beaten for pace, all ends up there. Got his body in the way and then fell over, drew the foul from the referee.
Elise back up from a seated position, gets it forward to Torres, but as he tried to play it on to Alex, he gives it away. But after allowing advantage to play for a moment, the referee signals for a foul and a free kick for the Dynamo.
Albert Elise has certainly suffered a few knocks already, hasn't he, in this opening 26 minutes of the game. This will be the 3rd or 4th time he's been fouled. You see that David Villa's never short of a word or two to say to the referee. Likes getting involved.
He's wearing the captain's band, right?
Exactly.
Sean Johnson, the goalkeeper, lining up his wall. This kick will be, what would you say, about 30 yards from goal?
Yeah, it's a good 30 yards out, but with the wind.
Wind at his back, with the left foot driven in low but wide of the target. Alex was appealing that it took a deflection out for a corner, but he won't get the call.
It certainly didn't take a deflection, it's just a poorly hit free kick from Alex. Real waste of a set piece in a dangerous position.
(1-1) is our score. A goal from Ramel Kyoto for the Dynamo just 90 seconds into the match. And then the equalizer by David Villa, who once he finds himself anywhere inside the penalty area, facing no one but the keeper, you know that about 99 times out of 100 he is going to put that past the keeper into the back of the net.
Yeah, the back of the net normally ripples, that's for sure. And what he does always do is he always hits the target.
Right.
When he's inside the box, he hits the target, makes the goalkeeper work. Whether that work is picking the ball out the back of the net or saving it.
He didn't give Tyler Derrick much of a chance.
No guilt can be attributed to Tyler Derrick there. To a glorious finish from David Villa.
Along the back line it comes for the Dynamo to the near side, and Dylan Remick. Now the goal scorer Kyoto, making his way through some navy blue shirts, taken away by the youngster Sands. Kyoto goes to ground. Boy, and then
that's a bad challenge. It really
that's
is.
the second one from Cabezas as well, and he's going to go in the book this time. And it can be said that he's a lucky man not to have seen his second yellow card here of this first half.
Yeah, it's a dreadful challenge from Cabezas. There's no way he's going to win the ball. It's gone straight through the back of Maxi Morales.
Is that Leonardo who just got the second yellow as well there?
Yes, Leonardo got one as well. There's nothing there in my eyes whatsoever. And that challenge in the middle of the park on Kyoto. Let's see it again. I don't think there's anything in that whatsoever.
Nope.
Didn't quite see it, but then as the play goes on, that challenge right through the back of Morales. by Cabezas. Certainly deserved that yellow card.
So both Cabezas and Leonardo go into the book here in the 30th minute.
Looks like the situation's being reviewed at the moment by the video official. Looks like there's nothing in it though. Referee's just halting play.
Ima Sagafi is our referee here, and he's had a challenging one to call so far in this first half.
Yeah, he certainly has. As we said, the Sporting KC game, maybe not lethargic, but there certainly wasn't as many challenges going in. Certainly in the middle, say the middle third of the pitch, there's been tackles flying from the very first minute in this game. Certainly no love lost between these two sides.
Oh.
Not overly sure of any previous, but it certainly feels like there is some.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's anything that should, from a historical standpoint, lead to bad blood, but sometimes that can work up just through the course of a match, right?
Yeah, and it certainly has done today.
Let's check in on the sideline once again with Jillian Carroll.
Guys, I was able to be standing directly in front, or excuse me, behind the referee and NYCFC coach Patrick Vieira and their heated discussion, which ended in the referee showing him off the field. So he was directed to go back to the locker room. At that time, he did step over the fence and head up to the booth, and then decided to come back down and is now observing the game from right on the other side of the field behind the bench. I believe this is being addressed as we speak, and I will give you an update when I have one.
So Patrick Vieira has been told to leave the technical area, from what we are being told by Jillian Carroll, which don't know how often you say that in a preseason competition like the Desert Diamond Cup. We've got a corner coming up for the Houston Dynamo. A touchline ban, that doesn't happen very often, I wouldn't think, in the Desert Diamond Cup, Matt.
No, certainly very unusual, that's for sure. I know it's getting heated out there on the pitch. No need for it to get heated down there on the bench, I wouldn't have thought.
Elise working his way through several defenders, fires a shot, but right into the arms of Sean Johnson. And we have seen some flashes from this young Honduran designated player that was acquired in the offseason for the Dynamo. That gives them a lot to be excited about. Look at this work.
He's got magnificent quick feet. Unfortunately, the finish didn't match that, but he is a handful. Just ghosted his way past three NYCFC players there. Really is a wonderfully talented individual.
Kyoto tries to get it through to Alex.
If nothing else, we know that Houston Dynamo are going to be fun to watch. With that front three they've got on show this evening.
Torres tracking back, and it deflects out for a throw-in, but when it comes to Patrick Vieira and being sent off the NYCFC bench here today, I have to assume that his anger comes mostly from two very rash challenges by Juan David Cabezas. He only was put in the book for one of those two challenges. And I think if you're Patrick Vieira, and they both came on his new designated player signing, Maxi Morales, you don't want to see your player's health being put into jeopardy in the preseason like this.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, especially on your designated player. You've only just brought into the squad. And that second challenge from Cabezas that did earn him the yellow card was a really poor one. Rugged challenge, no need whatsoever, never going to win the ball without going completely through the back of Morales, which he did.
There's McNamara on the left-hand side for NYCFC. They made a mess of the clearance there, did Leonardo. Dynamo not out of the woods yet. Finally, it's Cabezas who fires it down the field. Let's check in once again with Jillian.
Yeah, guys, just in relation to that conversation, Coach Rivera was just very disappointed in his conversation consisted of how many times from behind, sir. So he was very unsettled with how many tackles that were coming in from behind. I believe that was his biggest disappointment. And he is now just standing and observing, and I believe that he will be standing here the rest of the game.
When you say here, Jillian, where is Patrick Vieira standing? Is behind the fence here?
Exactly right. So the bench is located about 5 yards in front of a fence, and his long legs, he literally just stepped over the fence, and he is now probably 6 yards behind the bench, observing, not coaching, simply observing with his hands behind his back.
R.J. Allen clips it in, but it's caught by Tyler Derrick. That's a different type of step over, Matt.
It certainly is. We can see him just below us. He's hardly been sent to the stands. He's been sent back, as Gillian said, about 2 or 3 yards. But I think he's right to complain, Patrick Vieira. There's been some poor challenges, and specifically, as Gillian was saying, from behind. Some really rough challenges going on, and you certainly don't want to see that with the opening day of the season a mere fortnight away.
Turn by Morales this time, but was broken up well by Remick. Pirlo just can ping balls wherever he wants. Down the left-hand side it comes this time. McNamara serving it in. Morales went down. I don't think you're ever going to get that call, but it will be out for an NYCFC corner.
Yeah, quite surprisingly, the first corner of the match for NYCFC, 36 minutes into the game. And you said it as well, Nate. It's amazing, Pirlo's vision. It's almost as though he's not watching, not looking, but his head is totally on a swivel. He already knows where his pass is going before it comes to him. He's always got a picture in his head.
Morales didn't catch that one cleanly. We got a man down on the 6. It looks like A.J. De La Garza once again.
Yeah, and it's David Villa. I think David Villa's caught De La Garza off the ball. I think Villa.
The card has been pulled out, but who's it for?
I think for David Villa. David Villa, from what I caught sight of, he'll be lucky to stay on the pitch.
Wow.
Totally off the ball, this incident.
Let's see what happens here.
I don't think there's any need to throw yourself on the floor quite like that, but technically, a slap in the face is a red card offence.
Well, forgive me for laughing, Matt, but De La Garza had 2 arms around David Villa. He didn't appreciate it, so just a little love tap on the cheek, a little slap to the face. Like you said, it's technically a red card. And this could be a review situation here. Remember, and it will be, the referee, Nima Sagafi, has drawn the imaginary rectangle, which is the signal that means that video replay is about to take place. Look, now, from what we understand, the replay situations are for goal-scoring situations and red card situations.
And this is a red card. It's a red card. You can't raise your hands in the game. You can't make, certainly he's made contact with the player as well. If the referee is looking at the video properly and reading the laws of the game properly, that's a sending off offence. We know David Villa's got that in the locker. He's got that little bit of petulance. You have to have it in, top class players have that. This nasty streak. We've spoken about it before.
You know, we could debate the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law in this. I mean, because a little slap to the face like that's never going to seriously injure anyone.
Unfortunately, the referee has to read it as the letter of the law.
Right. The law is in place to prevent serious head injuries, correct? But that's not how it's written. It's written that any hands to the face, any elbows to the face constitute a red card. Nima Sagafi has now made his decision. He's going to bring David Villa over. He is drawing once again. There's the imaginary rectangle, and he's reaching for the back pocket here. I believe we're going to see, there it is. There's the red card.
It's a
David
given.
Villa.
It's a given, and that's what the video replay system was implemented for. David Villa can complain as much as he wants, but that was a sending off offence.
Now he's going after he's going after A.J. De La Garza. And he's pointing off to the sideline. I don't know if that's a meet me outside type of gesture.
Meet me in the car park later. That's what that is. But, you know, it's petulance. It shouldn't happen at any time during the game, and certainly not in pre-season friendlies. Yes, Delegata shouldn't make a meal of it quite as much as that. But by the letter of the law, it's a sending off offence. Nobody wants to see any players sent off the field of play. Certainly not in pre-season. Certainly not when the paying crowd have come out to see David Villa. But the referee has to implement that letter of the law.
So this is exactly what video replay has been instituted to do here. This is why they're testing it out. Nima Sagafi is the referee, as we've said, and he, from what we've been told, handled that exactly the way this system is intended to work. Now remember, this is a trial basis that certain leagues in certain countries, in accordance with FIFA, are implementing across the world, and MLS is one of those leagues. They are testing it out in the preseason. This is why you test it out in the preseason, is to make sure that that everyone understands how the system is supposed to work. And again, this is not intended, as we take another look here, there's both arms around Villa and just a little slap to the face. And this system, we were informed in no uncertain terms, Matt, was this system intended to fix or correct every call. This system is intended to correct obviously missed game-changing calls. Those calls being goals, basically, red cards, and mistaken identity. And a red card is a major game-changing situation. And we can debate whether or not a little slap to the face should be a red card. The fact of the matter is, it is a red card by the letter of the law, so that's why the replay was initiated there, and that's why the red card was shown.
See, what I don't know are the exact instructions and the exact rules, though, because you said he used the word missed. The referee didn't miss that situation because he'd already given Villa the yellow card, so he gave him the yellow card for something. So it depends. I don't know, you know, all the laws behind it. Look, this is new to us as commentators, new to referees. Yes, eventually the referee's got the correct decision.
Here's Torres coming forward and just pushing it wide of the post. Now maybe to go back to this call, Matt, maybe what was missed by the referee was where the slap occurred. Maybe he saw a slap, a push, and knew that it should have been some sort of card, but didn't realize it was a slap to the face. And that's why, you know, once he's informed by the referee's assistant, and that's what's happened, by the way, folks, if you don't understand the system, the video replay assistant who is off the field basically works as a fifth official. He is told now we're going to have another yellow card against the NYCFC side, who might be losing their cool a little bit here after, you know, maybe feeling harshly done by with not having a couple of yellow cards shown to that man right there, Cabezas, and Ben Sweet gets his money's worth this time and earns a yellow card. But the referee, the video assistant off to the side basically acts as a fifth referee, another assistant, so he can suggest to the head referee, in this case Nima Sagafi, that a replay should be taken. So he can communicate out there and say, look, I think you missed a slap to the face there. You might want to come take a look at this, and that's what was done. That's a valid point. If the referee initially books him for what he thought was a slap to the body or a push to the arm, that's probably exactly it. No, that really is, and that then would be spot on from not only the referee but the video official on the sideline as well. Let's go down to Jillian for her perspective on the way everything went down. It's been an emotional first half, Jillian.
That's right. Very intense 44 minutes as we are sitting here. I did want to say I watched the referee come to the screen, and he did his due diligence. He's checked out the screen, and I heard him say, is this the best angle? Can I have another one? So he saw many different views, and that's when he made his decision and approached the field and delivered the red card. At that, Villa came off the field, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but approached the fifth referee on the sideline, got in his face and expressed his disagreement. At that time, an NYCFC coaching staff, remember, came and brought Villa away. and he exited the field.
And now it will be interesting to see if that were to happen in a regular season game, if further disciplinary action might be taken, because we are told that players are not supposed to get involved with the replay system. They don't want players rushing at the referee, asking for replays. That can result in a yellow card. So these are all things that that will be sorted out as if and when this system gets implemented in the regular season. And there could be a decent amount of stoppage time here. We haven't seen an official word on that yet, as we are into stoppage time with the Houston Dynamo and NYCFC level at 1-1, and the Houston Dynamo playing up a man. Here's a through ball down the right-hand side. Elise was taken down, nothing called there, and now a foul will be given against the Dynamo.
We certainly can't say that this first half hasn't been short of incident, that's for sure. We've seen two very, very good goals, two very good finishes. Also a number of fouls taking place, a number of yellow cards, and a little bit of petulance from David Villa as well. It certainly doesn't have the feel of a pre-season friendly, that's for sure.
And it was unnecessary from Villa. You can understand his frustration. He was placed in a bear hug by AJ De La Garza, and you could make the case, of course, that should have been a foul in the first place. But what that does now is put NYCFC in a position where it really damages what they can get out of this preseason match in terms of trying to get themselves ready for the rest of the season. I guess now they get to train on what it's like to be a man down.
Exactly that, and I'm sure Patrick Vieira will highlight that to his team at half-time. And it's also pre-season. What pre-season's about is fitness, and so you're going to get a lot more fitness when you're a man down and playing against 11 men.
No doubt about that. Tyler Derrick wins the header here for the Dynamo. And there's a foul against Morales.
Depends how Vieira wants to play the game as well. Does he say, let's try and go out there and win the game, or does he say to his team, right, we're a man down, let's practice not conceding a goal, let's get bodies behind the ball, two solid banks of four, and leave probably Morales higher up the pitch as well. Just say to them, let's not concede a goal in this second half.
Well, remember, here at the Desert Diamond Cup, at least in the last match, New York and Sporting Kansas City did not head off to the locker rooms, because those are a good maybe 100, 200 yards away, so they just gathered here on the field, on the benches at halftime. Will Patrick Vieira be allowed on the bench, since he has also been told to leave the technical area? We are at halftime now. 1-1 is the score, and it's been even more dramatic than that. David Villa has been sent off with a red card in the 38th minute. Patrick Vieira, the head coach for NYCFC, was sent out of the technical area, so he watched at least half of the first half from just beyond the technical area. There's David Villa making his way off, and it does appear that both of these teams will be heading all the way to their dressing rooms for this halftime, but certainly quite a bit to digest through that first half. 1-1 is our score after a second-minute goal by Ramel Kyoto for the Dynamo, then David Villa scoring the equalizer in the 16th minute before getting sent off in the 38th minute. We will step aside for halftime and be back for the final 45 minutes in about 15 minutes from now, as you're watching on the MLS YouTube channel and on Fox Sports Go. We invite you back in just a few minutes.
he asked me for one of the New York coaches. He said he'd give him back right now.
Come on, give it right back to him. As an official sponsor of NYCFC and Captain Automotive, I'd like to visit all of their outstanding dealerships. Honda, Acura, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, and Mercedes brands. Check the field of premium service. With Captain Automotive is just the Captain's latest lineup. Please go online at CaptainTucson.com and Captain Tucson. Repair, helping you with all your mobile device needs. Next Saturday, the 25th, make sure to stop at 6 for the opportunity to win a 60-inch television. Mayfield Force is a proud supporter of NYCFC and Tucson and proud partner of Western Tucson. Experience your Valentine expectations this week with Mayfield Flowers and Visit at MayfieldFlorist.com. Meet the most because Western Tucson at Mayfield Florist. The Brandon Group at Nova Home Loans helps 60 Tucson fans reach their home loans to go. That's the Brandon Group at Nova Home Loans. Celebrate the great Brandon Cup every time you purchase a Phoenix concession stand. That's the Brandon Group at Nova Home Loans. Searching for a place in town to drive with no maintenance. Well, that would be Audubon Indoor Speedway. They provide 2 Grand freestyle tracks and a county electric car capable of speeds up to 50 miles per hour. Please check out the discount of Sanchez Zone. Visit them at www.autobahnspeeds.com. The location and hours for NYCFC. Absolutely free. This includes any sandwich, plastic cup, and meat sauces, cold, welcome to the nation. Fans, remember shop.xctucson.com or call 334-115 for all the latest Tucson amenities and women's prices for the upcoming season. It's going to be a great one. That's shop.xctucson.com. The Brandon Group and Nova Home Loans to raise your class to the next MLS victory. Don't forget to keep the Brandon Group 32-ounce Red Cup with you and bring it back next time, which would be next week. We hope to see you doing all those Red Cups. That's the Brandon Group at Nova Home Loans.
Imagine knock out that thing down. That guy would have been pissed.
Okay, let's give both our contestants a big hand. That was quite entertaining. The lucky winner will receive a Desert Dynamo gift certificate. The question is you old enough to go to Desert Dynamo Casino?
And welcome back to Keno North Complex in Tucson, Arizona, where we had a very eventful first half between the Houston Dynamo and NYCFC, and now Kubo Torres has been clattered into from behind. So there's a foul, but we had a red card to David Villa after a replay showed a slap to the face of AJ De La Garza. That was after David Villa had scored a goal. We also had a goal in the first 90 seconds. That was from Ramel Kyoto. Now on the set piece from Alex. It's flicked toward goal, but Ricardo Clark couldn't get much pace on it. And there is Patrick Vieira. He is the head coach or manager for NYCFC, and you see him standing behind that little fence there, Matt Lawrence, as he was told to leave the technical area for his complaints toward head referee Nima Sagafi, who had a lot to do in the first half.
Yeah, and I think the referee dealt with most of the things that happened in the first half very, very well. I'm sure that both head coaches will want their players to calm down a little bit. Neither head coach wants to suffer any injuries to their players, just a couple of weeks ahead of the opening day of the season. And neither coach wants, from Vieira's point of view, any more red cards. And Wilmer Cabrera doesn't want a red card. We've seen a couple of substitutes as well from NYCFC.
Shannon Gomez and Jalen Brown are on for NYCFC here in the second half. Jalen Brown playing out on the left wing. RJ Allen has moved to left back in place of Ben Sweet. He was over at the right back position before, so now Shannon Gomez over at the right back position for NYCFC. And as we said, the NYCFC side playing down a man ever since the 38th minute when David Villa was shown a red card for a slap to the face of AJ De La Garza. The referee was initially going to give David Villa a yellow card, but the video replay assistant suggested that he come take another look, so he did. And after looking at the replay, saw that it was indeed hands to the face, which constitutes an automatic straight red card, and that's when David Villa was shown the door. So a one-man advantage for the Dynamo here in a 1-1 match going into the 49th minute, and after a poor giveaway in the back by NYCFC, it's going to be a corner for Alex to take the left-footed in-swinger here. Goalkeeper couldn't hold it. Sean Johnson felt that he was fouled. De La Garza on the volley. And it's out for an NYCFC throw-in.
Be interesting to see that again, but I don't think Sean Johnson was fouled. I think he ran into the back of one of his own players there.
It always amazes me, Matt, that the goalkeeper is the one player out there who's allowed to use his hands, yet they feel they shouldn't be touched in any way, shape, or form on those types of set pieces, while if you're a forward trying to go for it, the goalkeeper can plow into you. Other guys can put their arms around you and drag you to the ground, and there doesn't seem to almost ever be a call.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where that's come from as well, goalkeepers not being able to be touched, because 60 years ago you could shoulder barge the goal into the back of the net.
Here's Alex sliding it through and past Johnson, and the Houston Dynamo have gone back in front. And it has to be said that in the early moments of the second half, it's been an absolute mess for NYCFC in their defensive third.
Yeah, this is a really cool finish from Alex as well. Just slid it past the outstretched leg of Sean Johnson. Very, very composed, but I do agree with you, Nate. They've been all over the place.
How did they let that ball bounce right outside of the top of their D with 3 blue shirts all around the ball?
Yeah, and only Alex, and he took the ball down and he just scooted past a couple of players and slid the ball home.
Well, Sean Johnson's the victim there, but I don't think that he was the perpetrator. Some poor giveaways on the back line for NYCFC, and then just a ball that's just bouncing harmlessly in their area that they all just kind of looked at one another and watched. And the Dynamo with a cool finish from Alex in the 50th minute, now up a goal and up a man.
The 2 changes at the back certainly haven't helped for NYCFC. I know technically it's only 1, but it's seen RJ Allen move from right to left. Shannon Gomez come in at right back. They're basically not playing with a centre forward either now, NYCFC. They're pretty much playing in a 4-2-3 formation with Tommy McNamara down the middle of the park. Jalen Brown to his left, Jack Harrison to his right. Perlo just sitting alongside James Sands just in front of the back 4. With those 2 guys, Perlo and James Sands there, though, they should be offering more protection than they are to the NYCFC back 4. Alex was just allowed to just skip through the back 4 and finish that with aplomb.
Kubo Torres trying to keep it alive. Sean Johnson was coming far off his line, but then realized that he was just on the edge of his area. Torres had the assist on the first goal. He came back just 90 seconds into the match.
One thing you do know is now it's very, very hard for NYCFC to get back into this game. Obviously being a man down, a goal down as well.
And a manager down.
And a manager down.
So I imagine if this were a regular season match that Patrick Vieira would be up in the owner's suite at this point.
Yeah, he certainly wouldn't be allowed to stand down there just a yard from the bench, that's for sure. I think from NYCFC's point of view now, you just try and not concede any more goals. Not so much a matter of going for an equaliser. We certainly don't want to get embarrassed. I know it's only pre-season. Don't want to start conceding a 3rd and then a 4th.
Well, and you have to wonder, what does a player like an Andrea Pirlo have to accomplish in a match like this, where it's a pre-season, it's a man down, it's a goal down.
Well, I would imagine that Vieira is going to make a number of changes probably within the next 10-15 minutes.
I believe it's Javier Perez who's running the show for the NYCFC side now, with Vieira banned from the touchline for the rest of this match. Here's Allen. Jalen Brown, the youngster, gives it away. The veteran, Ricardo Clark. And inside for Elise. Showing the pace past Pirlo. Touch carried the ball just a little too far away and allowed Maxime Chanot to come over and break up the play.
Maybe not in ability, but that was certainly a mismatch in terms of pace there with Elise and Pirlo. That's, I think, Pirlo will be sacrificed in the next few minutes and come off the field of play, I'd have thought, save his legs.
Well, that's not why Andrea Pirlo is on the field, right? To chase down speedy wingers. Here's Kubo Torres firing a shot, a diving save from Sean Johnson to push it wide. And it's cleared away for a Dynamo throw-in.
As we talk about goalkeepers and how they've evolved over the years, this is another thing. A goalkeeper 20 years ago would have just caught this. Nowadays, it doesn't happen so much. Bats it away with a strong right hand, does Sean Johnson.
Why do you think that is?
Certainly it's the flight of the ball nowadays, a much lighter ball, different types of plastics that they're made with. It's much harder to track the flight of the ball.
Ball has that knuckling action on
exactly.
it. Yeah. So the goalkeeper just decides better safe than sorry in these situations.
This is that finish as well from Alex. Doesn't strike it particularly well. There's nothing Sean Johnson can do about it. It's a good finish. What we hope now for the crowd really is that the game doesn't peter out. 2-1 to Houston. It'd be very simple for both sides kind of to sit back and just let the game ebb away to a 2-1 win for Houston Dynamo. That's why it's a shame. I know the referee did his job by sending off David Villa. Unfortunately, the fans paid their money to see the likes of David Villa out there on the pitch.
Well, and again, we'll emphasize the fact that this is preseason practice for the referees as well. And I get the sense, and we've seen the decisions through games so far here at the Desert Diamond Cup, that if they are given the ability to exercise some discretion and keep all 11 players on the field for both sides, they prefer to do so. But I believe that the fact that it was a replay situation kind of forced the hand on Nima Sagafi, because remember, they are under instructions from the league to exercise or to execute the replay system as it would be in the regular season, and that's what he had to do.
And as much as players and coaches are being evaluated, the referees are being evaluated from people in the stands as well. So yeah, he has to apply the letter of the law, as much as he didn't want to. And I think we could see that he didn't really want to send David Villa off.
RJ Allen taking the ground, but the referee sees nothing wrong with it this time, and it's out for a goal kick. Let's check in on the sideline with Jillian Carroll.
Actually, RJ Allen, you see him coming to the sideline now. He's come over about 3 times trying to get some attention from the medical staff. It looks like blood on his hand. I'm not quite sure. He just came over one more time, but he's put himself back in the game. Surely he's needed in the back line. Keep you updated on that.
All right, Jillian, 57th minute now. It's 2-1 Houston. Houston playing with a man advantage after David Villa was sent off in the 38th minute on a replay review that showed that David Villa took a quick slap to the face of AJ De La Garza. Here's a man who was a point of controversy in the first half, Juan David Cabezas, playing in the number 6 role. He's wearing the number 5, but playing in that holding midfield role for the Houston Dynamo. Went into a couple of rash challenges against Maxi Morales for NYCFC. He earned a yellow for one of those challenges. That did not satisfy Patrick Vieira. That's why he was sent off after complaining to the official about those challenges. Here come the Dynamo forward once again. And a header bangs off the crossbar. The offside flag had come up. Was that Alex once again? It was. Looking in the mood to score on the cross down the left-hand side. Dylan Remick serving it in. Turns out that Matt was in an offside position, but he almost put another one in.
Yeah, he must have just strayed half a yard offside there. So a magnificent cross from Remick down that left-hand side. Overlapped very, very well. Whipped that ball into the near post. I thought initially it was a good run from Alex, just overstepped the mark. Got himself half a yard offside, but it's a good header as well that just cannoned off the crossbar.
NYCFC last year, just their second year in the league, finished 2nd place in the East. It was a quick turnaround under Patrick Vieira after he took over as the manager. They got 54 points out of their 34 games last year, a 15-10-9 record. But the season came to a screeching halt in the postseason. Elise driving toward goal once again. Chanot deflects it out for a throw-in, but That loss to TFC in the two legs of the playoffs by an aggregate score of 7-0 kind of put a damper on what was a very good regular season for NYCFC.
Yeah, it's certainly a pretty definitive playoff loss, that's for sure. Certainly quite an anomaly really in playoff history for a score to be quite so blatant, 7-0.
Meanwhile, the Houston Dynamo, we talked about in the first half, finishing dead last in the Western Conference on just 34 points. I mean, think about that, 20 points behind a team like NYCFC with a 7-14-13 record. And now what do we have? A goalkeeper substitution for the Houston Dynamo. Callie Brown, I'm sorry, for NYCFC will be the goalkeeper substitution. So Andre Rawls coming in for Sean Johnson. Here's Sands with the turn, the 16-year-old once again. Now Jalen Brown, another youngster. Back to Allen. Sands looking to switch the point of attack, but it's intercepted easily this time by Cabezas. And here come the Dynamos streaming forward once again. It's Kyoto down the left-hand side. Now Alex felt that he had been clipped inside the penalty area, but the referee had a good look at it and says no dice. Here come NYCFC, it's McNamara. Even down a man. Can New York City find something here? Here's Pirlo. Can pick out a ball if he has time here. Jalen Brown looking to turn. McNamara. RJ Allen clipping it in. Jalen Brown trying to chest it down. Good spell from NYCFC right here at the moment. Sands well done outside to Allen. Inside of the area he goes, loses his footing. We've seen a lot of players in the same situation that Allen just was so far through these first couple of days of games. Sliding on this surface here. Look, it's the hot desert, and while the grass is in fairly good shape, I think the surface is fairly hard, so maybe sometimes the studs for the players aren't sinking quite into the ground and they lose that footing.
I agree with you. I think it's a little bit slick on top, obviously the dew of the night air, but yeah, underneath it's still rock hard, so if you've got studs on, metal studs on it, will be hard for them to fully go into the ground. You're right. There's a lot of players have been slipping over.
We're going to see 3 substitutions now for the Houston Dynamo. Ricardo Clark, Kubo Torres checking out of the match. Mauro Manotas, Eric Alexander in. Also DeMarcus Beasley now coming into the game as well, replacing Dylan Remick. DeMarcus Beasley, 34 years old. Signed as a designated player for the Dynamo back in 2014. First American ever to play in 4 separate World Cups. What was he doing when James Sands was born? We can talk about that.
Probably about 100 games into his career, I'd have thought.
Chance of broken out for We Want Kwadwo Poku here at Tucson. That might tell you something about where the match has gone at this point. I'm not even sure where Poku is at this point.
Look, the game's got very disjointed now, hasn't it? There's been a number of substitutions taking place for both teams. We've got 10 versus 11. Houston are quite happy with a 2-1 win, and I think NYCFC are relatively happy right now with a 2-1 loss as well.
I think a player that we should take a look at here is number 19 for the Houston Dynamo, Mauro Manotas, just 21 years old, out of Colombia. And at the end of last season, there was a bit of a surge by the Houston Dynamo. They played the role of the spoiler in a handful of results down the stretch, even though they were out of the playoff race. And Manotas was really at the center of much of that. He started 8 of the last 9 games, and he went into the season with his bio saying that he was more of a defensive midfielder type for the Houston Dynamo, and then all of a sudden they kind of tried him out at the striker position, and he scored 6 goals in his last 8 games, and I think he's found a home.
Yeah, he's certainly a centre forward, that's for sure. As we're seeing now, he likes holding the ball up, he likes getting the ball into feet. He's of a good size, good stature, tough for defenders to get round him. Knows where the back of the net is, as you mentioned, with those 6 goals at the back end of the season.
And a hat-trick against the Portland Timbers. That was one of those teams they played spoiler against, helping knock them out of the playoffs.
Look, a hat-trick against Portland Timbers is no mean feat, that's for sure.
It will be interesting to see where that number 9 position goes, with Cubo Torres looking to be in good form. Sands now with another giveaway in a dangerous area. Alex, who's already got 1 goal to his name. And there's another diving save. This time it's Andre Rawls being put to work as Manotas tried to open his account here at the Desert Diamond Cup.
Exactly as we were talking, Manotas, he has an eye for goal, makes the goalkeeper work. It's a good first touch, gets the ball onto his right foot. It's a decent strike. It's a good save from Andre Rawls pretty early on. Only been on a couple of minutes.
Here's Manotas again, playing it back for Beasley. That one took a deflection. It will be a Houston Dynamo corner.
And he may be 34 years of age, but he likes getting forward to Marcus Beasley from that left back role.
Beasley played 24 games last season for the Dynamo. Here he is again. Pops this one up in the air. It looks as though we are about to see the final members of the Houston Dynamo bench being inserted into this game, as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different players in orange shirts are now taking their warm-up tops off and are standing on the bench on the right-hand side. Nicely done by Sands this time to get out of trouble. And it's out for an NYCFC throw-in. Jalen Brown takes it away from Cabezas. Now Pirlo. Sending it wide on the right-hand side. Looking for McNamara. Let's go down to Jillian Carroll on the sideline.
Yeah, guys, the Houston Dynamo sideline has been active from the beginning of the half, whether it be the subs moving, also athletic training staff, coaching staff. Everybody's been antsy, up and moving. Now it looks like all 8 remaining subs will come in, including a new goalkeeper.
All right, thanks, Jillian. We'll see that sub fairly soon. Here's Jalen Brown driving his way toward goal. Gets onto his right foot. Got a clean shot at it, but it bent right into the arms of the goalkeeper, Tyler Derrick.
Yeah, hasn't had to do a great deal of work, Tyler Derrick, this evening. It was a comfortable take for him.
Expecting to see a yellow card here for Shannon Gomez, and he will go in the book. A little tug at the shorts of Ramel Kyoto.
Another easy decision for the referee to make. Really cynical. Just pull back from Shannon Gomez. Just as we're seeing that strike from Jalen Brown. Trying to curl it for that far top corner, didn't quite get it right. And an easy save for Tyler Derrick to make.
De La Garza.
What a second half, certainly complete antithesis to the first half. First half full of action, full of excitement.
Dynamo coming forward once again. Alex got it gummed up underneath his spikes a little bit.
It's really been played at pre-season pace. That first half was very much a full-blooded MLS tie. This not so much. I know it's 10 versus 11. I know we've had a number of substitutions. We've got another 8 coming up as well. See all the bodies just below us, as you see on your screen there. Number of trialists coming onto the field of play.
So we'll try to give you as many of these as we can as we consult the roster as well. But Callie Brown will come in at goalkeeper. Emilio Garcia, who is a trialist, will come into the midfield role. Memo Rodriguez will come into the game at another midfield spot. DJ Kasner, who is a 22-year-old midfielder, checking into the match. Jose Escalante, a 21-year-old, also from Honduras, a very Honduran flavor to this Houston team this year. And Jalil Anibaba will also be coming into the match for the Houston Dynamo. So, I'll tell you, Kevin Garcia has come into the game as well. And there's a shot attempt by Manotas, and a good diving save once again from Andre Rawls. Briant flicks it away. This time Pirlo heads away.
NYCFC now very much just getting bodies behind the ball. Almost a bank of 4 and a bank of 5.
And they've been playing with just 10 men since the 38th minute. Again, if you're just joining us, David Villa sent off after a replay review showed a slap to the face of AJ De La Garza. And we also know that Patrick Vieira was sent off at one time. Let's check in with Jillian Carroll if she's got any more information on that front.
That's right, he was sent off, and by off we mean 6 yards away from the bench, standing behind the fence. He has, in the last few minutes, had some coaching points sharing with his assistant coach, but notably, he was shaking hands with each Dynamo player that walked past him. So they walked behind the NYCFC bench, headed back to the locker room, and he made efforts to shake hands with each player.
Well, Jalen Brown is ruled offside here, but I don't know how the players react to things like that. But Patrick Vieira is certainly a legendary figure in the world of soccer. So I would take a handshake from a man like that.
Exactly. If you're walking past Patrick Vieira and he offers you his hand, you shake it, that's for certain.
Here's a substitution as we got a man that you really wanted, a kid? I don't know what you call it, a young soccer player that you really wanted to look at. James Sands had some ups and downs here today, but you can certainly see the potential.
You certainly can, and what I liked is even when he has given the ball away a number of times, he still wanted to get on the ball. He still wanted to get the ball at his feet. I don't think at any point he was ever overawed, but at times the game was maybe a little bit too pacey for him. Games are always different to training, obviously. People have said that he fitted in very well to training for NYCFC, but that's night and day between a training session and coming out and playing a full-blooded MLS tie, which that first half really was. That wasn't a pre-season friendly. Numerous tackles going in, some excellent play going on. But yeah, I think it will do him a world of good. I certainly don't think it will hurt his progress, that's for sure. He just needs to get games under his belt, whether that be with the first team, which I don't think it will be a great deal this season, and dropping back down to to the academy team, to the under-18s team. He's still got another at least year or two playing for the under-18s, playing for the national under-17 teams. It can all help. What he does have to be doing is playing games of football, though, at whichever level it may be.
Kwame Awua is the player to replace James Sands here, as we are in the 76th minute now. 15 minutes plus stoppage time to go. 2-1 in favor of Houston. They're up a goal, up a man. Manotas has had a couple of opportunities here, but has been denied both times by Andre Rawls, the goalkeeper. Clipping it on the near side. That's one of our trialists for the Dynamo.
And you could tell it's one of the trialists because he's trying to do a little bit too much. Instead of just laying the ball off simple, tries to take on too many players and ends up running the ball out for a goal kick.
This was the first goal of the match. That was 90 seconds into the game. Then there was the equalizer from David Villa. That was the good part of David Villa's day. And look at that ball just bouncing right in front of the back line for the Dynamo and or the NYCFC, and Alex puts it away.
You said it at the time. It's the fact that the ball bounced in between three players. You've got the holding midfielder, James Sands, the two centre-halves. Somehow the ball bounces in between the three of them. Alex can still bring it down and then just saunters through the two centre-halves. That can't happen whatsoever. Unfortunately, it did, and it was a good, calm finish from Alex.
Harrison trying to steam his way forward now. He's got Gomez on the right-hand side. Now Harrison serving the cross in, but it's out for a goal kick.
I think he played quite an important role in that first half. Jack Harrison, he got into the game well, obviously provided the assist for the David Villa goal, but ever since Villa's gone off the pitch and they're down to 10 men, it's been hard for Jack Harrison to get into the game. Through probably no fault of his own, he hasn't had a great deal of service. Equally, Tommy McNamara kind of playing up there in that false 9 position that David Villa obviously had to vacate. He hasn't really gotten the ball a great deal either. But as we mentioned a couple of times, Perlo at his age, the type of player he is, he doesn't want to be chasing forwards around the pitch, which he's been doing for this whole second half. It's merely been, I think, a fitness exercise for NYCFC in this second half.
Which is still an important component,
Exactly.
right, to get ready for the regular season.
It certainly is when you're just 2 weeks away. Build up those fitness levels, get minutes under your belt. And that's probably why Patrick Vieira's left Perlo out there for so long. He's been out there for 77 minutes, 40 of those with the team down to 10 men.
Harrison takes it away and gets it forward to Jalen Brown.
The only person I really feel sorry for is it's the substitute goalie who's come on for Houston Dynamo. He'll be on the field for about 20 minutes. I'm not sure he'll hardly touch the ball.
Here's Garcia. Now Anibaba. One of the few veterans out on the field for the Dynamo now, Anibaba. There's TJ Kasner. He's one of those trialists we've talked about. It's Alexander. Back to Ani Baba. Back to Kevin Garcia.
What I think is pretty conclusive as well is that Houston Dynamo are going to finish higher than they did last season, that's for sure.
Sure looks like it.
They've got a real array of talent, certainly in forward positions. Shored up the back line as well.
This league is so competitive.
Yep.
And the Western Conference in particular, the last couple of years, has had so much strength from top to bottom. While you say that we're sure they're not going to finish last, sometimes you look at the Western Conference and say, who will? Because it is such a balanced, competitive conference and league overall that sometimes it just depends on who stays healthy through the course of the season, and it's going to be a very interesting race again this year.
No, it certainly will. I can't wait for the season to get started in a couple of weeks.
Kasner giving chase to this one on the right-hand side. Cuts his way back. Escalante trying to keep it in, but can't do so on the far side. 10 minutes remaining. Dynamo protecting a 2-1 lead while also playing up a man. All that needs to be said is the last two MLS Cup winners were teams from the Western Conference who had to play in the knockout round of the playoffs.
I think that just shows the parity of specifically the Western Conference, yes, of the MLS overall. But you hit the nail on the head there. Portland followed by Seattle, teams who didn't even finish, what, in the top four in both of those seasons?
Top two anyway, yep.
Top two. Yeah, so Seattle finished fourth last season, didn't they?
Kasner chested down. He's going to have a go here, but put it straight down the middle. And Andre Rawls was able to catch with ease. Kasner again. Played on the left-hand side to Escalante. Running into the area now. He fires his shot, but from a tough angle, misses the target.
Yeah, from a really tough angle. Far too far out as well, never going to trouble the goalkeeper. Just as we see that Kasner shot, didn't quite get enough on it. Tried to hit the dipping volley. Wasn't particularly successful this time. Just having a quick look at the Western Conference, Nate. Who are you fancying this year?
Well, I think that FC Dallas has to be the first team that you mention, and it might seem like an easy answer because of the fact that they won the Supporters' Shield last year. They won a double last year. They seem to have strengthened even more during this off season, and Oscar Pareja has such a good nucleus of young players that keep coming through the system. When you look at losing a player like Fabian Castillo and Mauro Diaz, it's hard to say, well, wow, that team could be the class of the league again. But I think they're, to me, when I look at it right now, the team that's still the favorite once again to defend their title in the Western Conference. They're also putting a lot. Go ahead.
They're certainly the team to beat, aren't
Yeah.
they, really, FC Dallas?
Yeah, what's interesting, they're going to put a lot of eggs in the basket of trying to win that CCL when their turn comes around. I still wonder how realistic that is when you're trying to compete for MLS as well, considering the roster limitations that you have. When you start to have that match fixture congestion that sometimes can go along with it. Now, of course, there's a reformatting of the Champions League for next season, so that's a different story. They don't have to worry about the August play, but they're going to be in the mix for this first situation. So I wonder how they'll handle those things, but yes, I think FC Dallas. What about you?
It's hard to look past FC Dallas. I'm wondering about this Houston team. I must admit, I really like the look of the forwards. And I like the fact they've strengthened very much in the back line as well.
I think Sporting Kansas City is going to have something to say about the Western Conference. I like the additions that they've made on the wings, particularly in the addition. I know you and I both are big fans of the addition in the holding midfield role of Ilie Sanchez. I think the spine of that team has veteran leadership and is very strong.
I think if the spine of that Sporting KC team can stay fit, the Beaslers are power, Ilie Sanchez, obviously Dom Dwyer up front, I think they will certainly have a part to play in where the title goes, whether it be to Sporting Kansas City or whether it just be the fact that they have a big effect on the other teams around them.
Seattle Sounders with obviously the hardware that they won last year. You know, the addition of Nico Ladero, who completely turned around the fortunes of that team.
Transformed the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
Obviously Siggy Schmidt leaving, that had a big impact as well, but when Ladero came into that side, he really did transform the team. Just such a talent.
And we never got the chance to watch him play with Clint Dempsey. And will Clint Dempsey have a role on that team this year? He's in training. Will we get to see him this year? That's going to be a big question, but certainly...
It seems to be that health-wise he's back to full fitness. Whether that means in terms of soccer fitness, who knows?
But another year for Jordan Morris to develop. I think Seattle's going to be obviously a very formidable team this year. But you know, it's so interesting because at this time last year, a lot of the pundits were looking at the Vancouver Whitecaps as maybe the class of the Western Conference. Certainly didn't turn out that way. Will they be back in the mix this year? Get Kakuta Mane back in the mix? It's going to be an extremely competitive conference once again, and we haven't even mentioned LA Galaxy.
I know, weirdly so, isn't it? You know, almost the pinnacle team, I guess. You can't ever look past them.
No. They've got a lot of big names on the roster again this year, so just buckle up when it gets time for the regular season. And on the Eastern Conference side of things, this NYCFC team, another year to grow and develop. The New York City Derby, or whatever we're calling it, the Hudson River Derby, whatever it's going to be. Certainly when the two New York teams finished 1 and 2 in the Eastern Conference a year ago, that should be primed for some great viewing again this year. Shot opportunity for Harrison, but a sliding challenge. Now Jalen Brown wowing the crowd here for a moment. Pirlo with the quick switch over to McNamara. So Dynamo still not out of the woods here. It's Harrison.
That could have gone anywhere. It's a snapshot from Jack Harrison. You can't blame him for taking a strike on goal. Didn't end up very close to the goal. But he's another talent that can only benefit from another year's worth of experience. A lovely little flick there onto Jalen Brown.
That was pretty from Harrison to Brown.
Certainly was. He's got bundles of talent. And just as we see the ball goes out to Pirlo as well, as I mentioned before, already got a picture in his head. Flights the ball out with his left foot out to Tommy McNamara. Pretty much Keystone Cops defending we see there from Houston Dynamo as the ball falls to Jack Harrison and he hits the ball skyward.
One more rush for the Dynamo now getting forward. Kasner serving the cross in, and it takes an odd deflection and it's into the back of the net for the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, and the player obviously can't be offside because the New York City FC, NYCFC player has knocked it back to the Houston player.
Memo Rodriguez is the goal scorer in the 88th minute. He's a trialist and a homegrown player, just basically the recipient of a lucky deflection that bounced right into the perfect spot for him, but he took advantage of it.
It's a ball given away there in the centre of the park. It's a poor pass for once from Pirlo. As the ball goes into the box, it's a dreadful clearance there from the NYCFC player. Didn't quite catch who that was.
I think it's Kwame Wuha, who was the player that came on for James Sands.
I think you're right, and he just puts the ball into the path of the Dynamo centre forward. And he says, thank you very much.
And that's a sinking feeling if you're Ruha's awkward attempt at a clearance there.
Very awkward. You just clear the danger area there. You just lash it anywhere. You certainly don't play it down to the foot of the opposition in the 6-yard box.
Well, that all changed in this match when David Villa was shown the red card in the first half in the 38th minute. It was 1-1 at that time, and not surprisingly, it's been all Houston Dynamo in the second half, playing with a man advantage, and they've come up with 2 goals here in the final frame.
The game was a solid spectacle, pretty much ended with the sending off of David Villa, which is why I'm sure the referee knew it. He didn't really want to send off Villa. He had to, according to the letter of the law. You mentioned it off air at half time, Nate, that you think referees should be able to give some kind of valid interpretation of the physical aspect of a blow to the face. There was certainly, yes, of course, there was intent, but there was certainly no malice or intent really to hurt somebody.
To injure, yeah.
To injure De La Garza. De La Garza went down as though there was a sniper in the stands, which of course there wasn't. But yeah, you know, I feel sorry at times for the referees in those situations.
Yeah, I feel that in the sport of soccer, it's a game of nuance, and there should be, I feel like, room for judgment and discretion for the referee. You know, the intent of that law is to prevent serious head injuries, and we all can agree that that's very important. We don't want to see head injuries. We don't want to see the livelihoods of these players damaged or their life, damaged because of the game. But no one would ever in their right mind think that a little slap to the face like that would ever put a player's health at risk. So I feel personally that maybe the referee should be given a little license there instead of just a straight black and white that any foul to the head area is an immediate red card. But that's the way the rule is written, so the referee has to follow the rules.
It's just license to use some common sense.
Right,
I think that's basically all it is, isn't it?
Right.
A yellow card that the referee he issued initially was or I think it should be the correct decision.
While an open hand slap to the face might be massively insulting, it might hurt your pride quite a bit. I don't think it's going to send anyone to the hospital.
No, that's for sure. It was a shame, as I say,
Yeah.
as a spectacle, the game finished then. Yes, it has been all Houston Dynamo. They deserve the win. How much they've gained out of it since that 37th, 38th minute, I'm not sure.
And there is the final whistle. Houston Dynamo win it by a final score of 3-1. It was certainly a match with some intrigue, particularly in the first half. We've talked about the red card that was shown to David Villa, which really shaped the second half of this match. Patrick Vieira, the manager for NYCFC, was sent off from the touchline. There you see him shaking hands with Wilmer Cabrera and others, and now a nice hug between the two men that respect one another quite a bit. Patrick Vieira was not allowed to watch the second half of the match, and about half of the first half as well, after complaining of the official a little too much. But he will go back to the drawing board now after his side is now 0-2 in this Desert Diamond Cup, for whatever that's worth, and the Houston Dynamo now are 2-0 in this preseason competition. Matt, any final thoughts from you on what we saw here this evening in the nightcap?
No, I thought the first half was a fantastic spectacle. I thought it was a full-blooded MLS affair. It certainly wasn't a pre-season friendly. Both sides went at it. I think it was interesting to see the new players in the Houston Dynamo side. I think they're going to be a completely different kettle of fish to what they were in the 2016 season. NYCFC, for them, the minute Villa went off, that was the game dead and buried in my eyes. Certainly interesting to see James Sands playing in the middle of the park. I think he's got amazing potential for a 16-year-old kid playing with the likes of Perlo and Villa. But overall, Houston Dynamo very much deserved this victory.
All right, so for Jillian Carroll and for Matt Lawrence, this is Nate Bucati. For Dakota out in the truck and all the crew here working tonight through this triple header in the Desert Diamond Cup. This is Nate Bucati saying thanks for watching. Houston Dynamo win it by a final score of 3-1 over New York City Football Club. So long, everybody.